Well, it's the weekend and you're here on Spector Creative, so that means you're either here for Battleram videos or hieroglyphics. And guess what? I'm all out of hieroglyphics, but I got a ton of Battlerams to talk about. All right, so yeah. Well, maybe not the actual medieval kind of, well, door busting device, which are a bit more fantasy than actually reality. No one actually had, rams at the end of a machine, but in Masters of the Universe they sure did. So yes, when you think Battle Ram, this is probably what you're thinking of. And honestly, the Battle Ram is one of the most popular vehicles in the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe line. It's been made in almost every toy line that has ever been released under the brand, from the smallest to the biggest. And part of the popularity, of course, is the fact that this vehicle had a lot of content, or rather content time, screen time. It appeared on the show, on the Filmation series, and also because it was a personal flyer vehicle. I'm going to be making a video, actually, about personal flyers pretty soon. It's a really interesting aspect of toys and toy play when you give a character a personal flyer device. But the Battle Ram was more than that. It wasn't just a thing to drive up, it wasn't just a thing to fly around in, it was a combination of both. And that's kind of what made it such a remarkable vehicle. Anytime you can have what's thought of as ground play and air play, meaning flying, in open-ended action figure play, it really does add to the overall play environment and experience. Now, the Battle Ram itself has kind of gotten away from its original purpose, if you will, when it was designed, as much more of a, I guess, sort of a troop transport, driving into battle and blasting through enemy action figures. But if you look at the original artwork on the box, and honestly, yeah, I really should do a whole video about all the box art from the original line, you can see that the original concept for the Battle Ram was actually where the idea was you would drive the tank aspect up to the gates, park it, fly away, and then use the part you drove up, the back end, as a siege device. This was when the line was the Lords of Power, before Masters of the Universe came along, because the Battle Ram goes back to the very, very early development stages, and you can see in the concept art how it changed and grew over time, and, well, features were lost, simplified, but it's definitely important to note that the original concept drawing, where it's much more of a siege engine that gets driven up to the gate of the castle, this can clearly be seen in the early prototype, which was also clearly the influence for the box art, because it's a one-to-one match, as opposed to the final vehicle, which definitely changed a little bit. All of the original 82 figures were kind of special in this sense because they were part of a slightly different play pattern. It wasn't just He-Man versus Skeletor. It was all about acquiring Castle Grayskull, and kind of everyone had access to all the vehicles and the castle itself. It wasn't as much good guy vehicle, bad guy vehicle. Now, a lot of this came because of the whole Fourth World influence. And if you're asking what I'm talking about, Fourth World being a concept for DC that Jack the King Kirby created after he left Marvel. And for about 2 years, Mattel worked on a Fourth World concept. It's a well-known fact in the toy industry that concepts like Iron Jaw here, who got dropped from a toy line in the 70s, was reincarnated at Mattel into Trapjaw. Same concept, same features, same face, same eyebrows. This is a huge part of the toy industry is, well, yeah, when you work on something, you want to see it go to market. So the 2 years that Mattel designers worked on Fourth World toy concepts based on Jack Kirby's work, and when that toy line got canned, or rather, put to the side, all of this work on this sci-fi, fantasy, medieval, it wasn't just about, swapping Darkseid for Skeletor. It was much more about the fact that years had gone into design work based around Jack Kirby's concepts. I did a whole video I'll link at the end where I definitely cover a lot more details about this. It's a fascinating story. But you can absolutely see the influence of all of this Fourth World design work on the 82 line, which included our Battle Ram here. If you look at all of the vehicles that Jack Kirby created for the Fourth World comic, and, well, actually even before that when he was doing Marvel stuff, His vehicles always tended to have giant wheels and kind of personified faces in the front, if you will. And if you look at the Battleram, it's basically a combination of this fourth world battle train and the Forever People's motorcycle vehicle. The giant wheels, the configuration, it's all there. It's essentially a fourth world vehicle toy that after that license was taken away, well, the concept was recycled and reused in Masters of the Universe, much like Iron Jaw became Trapjaw. And because the Filmation series picked up on the Battleram very early and it became one of the early vehicles to have screen time to be incorporated into the content, obviously that only drove its popularity. Maybe not as much as the Wind Raider, which probably had more screen time, but the Battleram, because of its dual nature of driving vehicle and personal flyer, which again, that I'm going to do a whole video just about personal flyer toys and how much that affects playtime. Not to mention the fact that it was very much about army building because the troops got these flyers as well, and in fact even the bad guys got these. The only difference being the shape of the head. The bad guys had a snake and the good guys had a griffin, but otherwise they were flying around in the same sky sleds. So it became a very popular vehicle. Heck, Skeletor even had a custom one with an extra long back when he wanted to, hang out with children. All right, so while we lost the whole siege engine concept, which I always loved the early artwork, well, one thing we did learn as far as selling vehicles is they work a lot better when you pack them in with figures. So we'd already done a Sky Sled. We'd done the good guy version with the Griffin head. And after the Wind Raider, which was our very first vehicle in the Classics line, completely bombed, and despite fans saying like, no, it was a success, it sold out the first day. That's because we only got like 20% of the total production run in time. The rest of it just sat there. So what we were able to do with Sky High and the Jet Sled is show management that vehicles can sell if they're paired with a figure. And that is exactly how we got the Battleram through approvals, was by pairing it with a character. With the Wind Raider being a vehicle without a figure and the Sky Sled including one, it became the template now to sell other vehicles. And we made sure that the Sky Sled that came with this Battleram was now the Snake version, so you could change them, you could swap them up. You could put either one because, again, good guys and bad guys both use the Sky Sleds, and now the Battleram gave you the Serpent Snake head, and the Sky High release gave you the Griffin head, and they were designed to be completely interchangeable. So that was also really cool. But not as cool as this detail. What the Horsemen did by sculpting the stickers, unbelievable. They took all of the old flat stickers from the 82 release and actually turned them into 3D painted details. And this just always blows me away because it is so cool to get the actual display, area, and it's sculpted. It's not just flat. It's not just a sticker. All of the switches and buttons and everything's it's decoed. So yeah, adding a figure, adding that kind of detail to the sculpt really did help move this product, and especially having Man-at-Arms, a major character in there, and giving him a fan-demanded refresh, which was him without his helmet. Now, this was actually a variant I was trying to get out for years. Originally, Snake Man-at-Arms, who, while he had a lot of controversy, he's kind of, I think, been accepted by the fan base, or at least by toy companies who use him as an easy refresh of Man-at-Arms when you want to get a different variant out there at market. So the original idea was the Snake version was going to come with the helmetless head. You already had mustache and no mustache with the original Man-at-Arms release, and by having new alternate heads come with the Snake Man version, the idea was you could mix and match and now create any Snake Man you wanted. Incidentally, Man-at-Arms became a Snake Man. That was what was going to happen in the 2000X series. It was revealed in episode 39, which was only, I think, done as a mini-comic, that Man-at-Arms was going to revert to a Snake Man permanently, and this was going to be allowed the Snake Man to have vehicles in line. He was going to build them snake-like vehicles. So that's where the story was going in 2000X, and I very much kind of like what the Mondo figures do. I wanted fans to be able to make their ultimate version and swap armor, swap heads, etc., etc., and while we weren't able to give the helmetless head version with Snake Man-at-Arms, I was so glad to finally get it out with this vehicle pairing, because honestly it drove me crazy for years that I felt like this head really was meant to come with Snake Man at Arms to add value. And now that we were able to release it, it was even yet another version because we were able to deco the armor a little bit different. One final note on vehicles, they weren't included in the original roadmap when I wrote all of the bios back in 2008, 2009. So when we did get to them, it was like, oh, wait, shoot, there's nothing to put on the back of the package. So we just came up with the idea of doing artwork that looked like a blueprint, and I had a lot of fun naming all of the different aspects of the vehicle, just like we did with the Wind Raider. It was a fun project, and I'm honestly so thrilled I got to be part of it.